morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be watching us from. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Talent Plug podcast, a space where we unravel stories behind extraordinary talents from every corner of the marketplace. I'm your host, Francis Mulumba. On this episode, excited to have a very interesting guest. Our guest is a seasoned hotelier. He's a trainer as well as a hospitality manager. He's been in this space for over 25 years. So you can only imagine what kind of conversation we're going to have with our guest. Our guest today, O'Neil Mweemba. O'Neil, welcome to the Talent Plug podcast.
Thank you, Francis. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. When I was just speaking into your introduction, obviously we've just capped the highlight of what defines you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I haven't done you justice. You've done so much in this space that I think for our listeners and our viewers to just get an understanding of what you really specialize in and the things that you do, I think I'll just read a little bit of an excerpt for your summary.
Sure. Please
So ONeil is a proven hotelier with a very strong food and beverage background. He's got a very high proficiency in staff recruitment, placement, and training. He's actually participated in a lot of SOP procedure guidelines and development trainings, which includes upscale hotel properties in order to meet high and market demands within the Zambian industry. I think that's a much more befitting introduction to you, O'Neil. It just speaks into the extensive, experience that you have in this space.
Sure.
So really privileged to have you here, and I'm sure our viewers and listeners are going to get quite a bit of information from, quite a lot, not a bit, quite a lot of information from our discussion.
Yeah, sure.
I would like to start our conversation, obviously, by just getting to know who O'Neil is. You have quite a huge following in your space. And I know that there are quite a lot of people who have gotten to know you, but there's also a very small demographic who probably only hearing or meeting you for the very first time. Who is O'Neil?
Thank you, Francis, for that question. And viewers and listeners, you're welcome. O'Neil is a seasoned hotelier. Like you rightly put it, I have been doing this for slightly over 25 years, going into 26 years. I joined hospitality, to be precise, in 1999. And I started from being a line staff, and I joined as a waiter. At one of the properties within Zambia. Worked my way up from waiter to bartender. And I remember at one point my PAs would tease me and say, "We've never seen a bartender that doesn't drink." Yeah. So then moved on, worked through to other organizations, and grew into a trainee manager, and then assistant restaurant manager. First of all, head waiter, then assistant restaurant manager, then restaurant manager, then assistant food and beverage manager, then food and beverage manager, and to general manager. So that has been my growth in the industry over the years. Obviously, all these positions are with different companies, but there is a couple of companies that I spent a lot of quiet years with them in terms of growth. Then I coupled this as well with tertiary education.
Yes.
I did hospitality management, food and beverage management, and then business management up to a Master of Business Administration with the University of Zambia. So that is ONeil. So I have been in the hospitality space for this number of years, and I have also worked with different managers, different colleagues, and been exposed to different hotels, both in Zambia and outside Zambia, just for me to get an in-depth understanding of what being a hotelier is.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction. Very interesting to hear about how your journey started. You know, there are very few individuals and people who have the patience. You started right at the bottom, if I may say, and you really worked your way up. What would you say was the most difficult aspect of your transition from one role to the other? Did it come seamlessly, or were there specific challenges that you faced? And what gave you the resolve to, you know, just continue building yourself and growing yourself?
I think it's passion. I have passion for the industry, and so over the years, what made me build myself from one position to another to the next is loving what I do, loving what you're doing for yourself and for your guests.
Yes.
And every time each guest would be satisfied with the service that I've given, it will keep me going.
Nice.
You know, it will keep me going. Just creating those moments for those guests, them appreciating what you do and writing those reviews, just pushed me to do more.
Nice.
To do more, because there comes a satisfaction that I've been able to make someone's experience, and then in doing it naturally.
Yes.
Okay. Your peers recognize it, your supervisors recognize, your managers recognize it. So even as growth comes, and then it comes natural because of what you do. You do it for passion, you do it, and without you realizing it, other people are seeing it.
Yes.
And they're recognizing it, and they're calling you and say, do you remember you did this and that, and then that was great.
Yes.
Yes. We're adding more responsibilities to you, like this, like that. And how to embrace the responsibility, the change. And over the years, of course, you'll have peers, you have friends, and then you are growing. And maybe they are not growing at the same rate as you are. Yes. Then you realize that when you look around, that's when you actually realize that, oh, okay, so I'm growing. I have grown.
Yes.
And probably others have not grown at the same rates as I have. But really, what has driven me over the years is the passion that I have for the industry.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that. So you talked about, you know, the education that you've gotten over the years. I'd like for you to speak into, you know, the specific qualifications that one should attain to get in this space. And I ask this question obviously because there are a lot of, you know, young people out there. They're transitioning from, you know, high school, they're transitioning from tertiary institutions, and they really want to get in this space, but they do not know how, and they do not know what they should study. So my question is just aimed at having you give us, you know, just a bit of a snippet in terms of what kind of training and qualifications you need to be successful in this space.
Sure. Thank you for that question, and very important question that you have asked. I will take it a little back when I started, when I joined the industry. I joined the industry at a time when Zambia, I'm not sure about other African countries at the time, Zambia viewed hospitality jobs as jobs for people that never did well at school, or school dropouts or something like that.
Yes.
That's the time that I was joining the industry. And I remember I worked with older folks, like very older folks at the time. Obviously, I could see a number that had not gone through tertiary education, they used the experience and everything. But the industry has evolved over time. Over time. And dear viewers, listeners that are listening to me now, hospitality space has grown with time in Zambia, and we need you to come on board and take this as a profession like we have done. Many of us have done now. It's a profession like any other, and it needs skills. So for you to be a hotelier or a hospitality professional, you need to study. There's a lot of areas of expertise within the industry. But let's say, let me start with the hotels.
Okay.
Because there's the hotel, there's aviation, there is activities like tourist activities.
And that's interesting because, you know, I think individuals don't look at the holistic picture within hospitality. They'll narrow it down to hotels, you know. And I think that's what.
And then that's the thing that's also, it's quite huge.
Okay.
There's hotels and lodges that do with accommodation and stuff. There's just restaurants, standalone restaurants, and then there's aviation, there's transport, car hire, business, and everything. There's different tour operator activities, and there is entertainment as well in the hospitality space. So it is quite a large industry in Zambia. It could be. I'm quite comfortable to say the hospitality space in Zambia is in the top 5 industry that contributes to Zambia's GDP because of just the different spheres that I have mentioned. So if you want to work in the hotels, that like I have been in the hotels, you need to study courses like hospitality management.
Okay.
But the other short-term courses that you can do, you can either study front office operations, you can study food and beverage, you can study kitchen, or should I say culinary. You can study housekeeping operations. You can
and can you also just speak into, you know, some of these institutions that are offering these, because there are a lot of people who have very limited knowledge in terms of where they can even get these skills. Is it possible that you can just highlight?
Yes, I can highlight it.
Right.
A few that we have in Zambia. Of course, I'll study with the Zambia Institute of Tourism and Hospitality Studies, which is ZITS for short. Mainly over the years is known as Fairview or HTTI, which is Hotel Tourism and Training Institute. But the new name now is ZITS. It gives different courses ranging from front of house, back of house, and then into senior managerial roles up to degree level now. And then you have Texila. American University also doing hospitality management courses. You have Mulungushu University, you have Creso, you have Livingston Institute of Business, and many other.
No, kudos really to all these institutions that have come on board and started offering this, because I think some time back there were very, very few institutions that were offering these specific courses for this sector. So I just wanted to give a shout out to these institutions who have really invested in this space, because obviously the training is a very, very important aspect of I know we're going to talk about the in-house training and the kind of training that you conduct or you've conducted, but I think the formal education is also something that is absolutely important in this space.
Yes, it is important. It is important, Francis, that even as you work in this space, you also develop yourself tertiary wise.
Right.
Because the time will come when your supervisor will identify you or your manager will identify you and they want to promote you, but then your limiting factor will be your tertiary side of things.
Right.
So it is I really advise young people that sometimes when you're still fresh from school and everything, sort of rushing, going into the job, get a tertiary education so that once you start, you hit the ground running and you're not distracted by having to go full time. But of course, there is other online courses that you can do, but those are just to develop yourself, cement what you already have. But I would advise you that you pursue a career in hospitality, and there are many others outside the country. Outside the country that you can subscribe to, which is maybe International Hotel School, with a branch in South Africa. Our friends, the Swiss, the best hotel school in the world. So Swiss Hotel School, where you can get very, very good background, solid information when it comes to do with hospitality.
Nice.
So there's a lot of also, which we're going to speak about later, short courses and on-job skills training that you can get within the country and online and everything, just to cement your knowledge into the
thank you so much for that. So as we move on, I'd like for you to just speak into some of the key mentors and experiences that you've had over the years. I know that ONeil just didn't become ONeil on his own. Yes, you invested time in developing yourself in training, but I know that you probably had quite a number of mentors that helped you grow and helped you become who you are. Are there any specific ones that you'd like to highlight, or maybe specific experiences that you had that shaped you?
Yes, they are. I would mention, I'd actually be failing in this interview if I do not recognize one group that actually shaped me to be who I am today. They gave me a very solid background.
Right.
That was Sun International. Sun International came into the country in Zambia in 2000. Having bought the property from Mosotunya Intercontinental.
Yes.
And built 2 hotels there, the Royal Livingston and the Zambezi Sun at the time, that are still standing now. The Royal Livingston is there. Obviously, Zambezi Sun has changed the name to Avani now.
Yes. And
the ownership has changed to Minor. They gave me and many others in the country a lot of training. Okay. So there were managers there that I worked closely with at the time that really shaped me, really gave me the knowledge and the drive to soldier on and to be who I am today. Nice. I remember our first general manager then, Philip Kavaras, is in the UAE, and we're still in touch. Was one gem, and I need to mention that I remember at that time, as a young waiter, when Mr. Kavaras would receive the directors from head HQ, they would come and everything. My colleagues would shun to save them. Because you see, you are saving the topmost directors, right. The people that matter the most.
And you're like, everything has to be spot on.
Everything has to be spot on.
I can't fail at this.
You can't fail. Because you fail, either that to be your next exit, Right. But again, I saw it as an opportunity. If I do it right, then these will identify.
Yes.
You get my point. So every now and then, my colleagues will shun away to save what, quote unquote, I'd say VIPs. And it wasn't a problem for me, And then over time, I got used to save these VIPs and everything and stuff like that. But that's where the identification started from.
Nice.
Yeah. Like, how come this young man is also relaxed to say?
Yeah, he doesn't budge. He does everything to the T.
Yes, and everything and stuff like that. I mean, these are the people we need in the industry, and it started from there. I mean, being identified, being given more responsibilities and everything like that.
Right.
There's another man who was our hotel manager then, Mr. Chris Van Dam. He is in the UK now, and he's running another hotel there. And the one who was kind of my direct supervisor, S. Henzika.
Okay.
These people shaped me.
Nice.
They gave me the positive drive and says, we identify you. I mean, we see what your passion is, what you can do, and you can do more. And then I had other colleagues senior to me that I had found that had already maybe done a 5-year, 6-year in the industry,
Yes.
and were like, where have you worked before? And when we tell them that at that time that was my second job, like, this is my second job, my first job I did 2 years, or like, really? You work like you have 5 or 6 years
so
and
much
experience
years of
and everything.
experience,
So that's when I started hearing things like that, and it gave me more drive, more passion to do
and
more,
confidence as
and
well.
confidence. It built my confidence to do more in the industry, to provide guests with unparalleled experience, so that every time I handled a guest, I can't remember in my industry, in my whole 25, 26 years, that I had a guest complaint from the time that it was me that handled the guest.
Yes.
And I had a guest complaint.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Francis, I can't remember.
25 years.
I can't.
No guest complaint.
No.
Wow. That's amazing. I think it really speaks into, the dedication that you have and the time that you've invested in perfecting the art of what you do. So,
of course, I would receive guest complaints.
Yes.
About general service.
Yes.
In the hotel, or maybe a colleague of mine and everything, and they would tell me.
But not something that they're going to complain because of you or about you.
No. But even then, I will make it right for them. Even if it was my colleague or any other, I will make it right for them.
Nice.
I will go out of my way to ensure that I change the perception that the guest has about the hotel.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great. So, O'Neil, moving on, I'd like for you to speak into the maturity of the hospitality industry in Zambia. And I speak this because over the years, there's been a lot of emphasis on, the tourism sector and just ensuring that the hospitality industry is up to standard so that, we're able to attract, tourists and just grow the industry in this space. How has it matured over the years, and where do you think we are at the moment?
There has been a lot of growth in the industry, Francis. Over the years, Zambia is growing. The hospitality industry is growing in Zambia. We are doing. There's a lot of strides that we are doing in the space. We are not yet where we want to be. So I would say we're around 70-80%, with a 20-30% that we have to do more.
What do you think the biggest challenge is within the industry?
I think the skills gap.
Okay.
Most people having to shun away the industry, like I said earlier, in the early years, having to shun away the industry. And at that time, thinking it's an industry for school dropouts, and everything. So a few of us at that time that took it seriously and took tertiary education in that space, that are there to be shared between a few hotels that we have.
Yes.
So the majority, so there's still a skills gap at the top. Now, because we were at the bottom then, because we were just entering and we were quite few.
Yes.
Now you feel the skills gap at the top. You get my point. We are few of us.
Yes.
You get my point. I would have loved that by now there is a number of us that can be senior managers in these top hotels. They can be HODs, can be hotel managers and general managers. But because of that, you still see some expats in the hotels coming from outside Zambia because of that.
Right.
You get my point. But the narrative is changing. Now, more and more people are going into the industry through tertiary education. Right. And some of the challenges, you asked to say, what are the challenges for us not to get there? So I mentioned skilled gaps, but I went a little bit in detail as to why. But also it is the infrastructure. Owners, and I appeal to owners, if there's any owners, hotel owners, hospitality owners listening to me, we need to invest more in the infrastructure that we're putting out there compared to our colleagues around the world.
So when you say infrastructure, O'Neil, what specifically are you calling out?
I'm talking about development. If I look at the number of keys that we have, guest rooms, in the hotel space, we don't have much.
Okay.
One would say there's a number of hotels in Lusaka here, not as much as the city needs, not as much as the country needs. Trust me. If
we're actually saying the demand for hotels are they are higher than what we have.
Yes.
Than what's available.
Exactly.
I never looked at it from that angle.
If today FAS bidded for us to host Africa Cup of Nations,
right?
For instance, they would need a lot of room keys for us to be able to host, or any international conferences that has a capacity of 5,000.
Yes.
Lusaka can't have we don't have a 5,000 bed capacity in the middle to upper scale properties.
But do you think
and I'm not talking the ordinary guest house and thing that we have in our localities. I mean lodges and hotels that have that minimum standard, should I say maybe 3-star going up, we do not have. And so this is where I call investors that are listening to, I know this podcast is going beyond Zambia, so if you're listening to me, we have a gap there where you can invest more hotels in the country.
Right.
Not just in Lusaka, Livingstone, Siavonga, South Luangwa, I mean, the northern circuit now that has opened up there. I mean, you see the pictures for Sanfie Beach and everything. We need proper hotels there. You get my point.
Absolutely.
So we need developers. We need to get to a point where, Francis, when you travel anywhere in the country, and you want to, and your requirement is that you sleep in a 3-star and above. You are not forced to sleep in a starless by default. You get my point? Because there's nothing in the area that you are. So we need to get to the point where whatever location is, you are able to get.
But O'Neil, what's the level of appreciation, particularly from us as Zambians? Because it's one thing to invest, to bring in all this investment in building 5-star hotels. But, and I've seen this for myself, you go to specific localities, there has been investment in these areas, but the place is literally a white elephant. You have 2-3 guests in a 5-star hotel, and really the question that comes is this investment worth it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes. So if you listen to my conversation, I kept on saying 3-star and above, 3-star and above. Of course, the majority of the spaces in Zambia need 3-star hotels.
Okay.
Then
maybe
few developed urban areas, then 4-star, and then 5-star in a few localities.
Yeah. Let me just digress a bit, because I think this element of just highlighting the stars is a little bit confusing for maybe some of our viewers and listeners. I'd like for you to just, give a bit of a narration into what it takes to be a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star facility.
Okay. All right. My apologies, listeners. I kept going and I didn't realize that there could be people who are actually not understanding what do I mean by these stars and everything. So in hospitality or in hotels, we have this grading system that we grade hotels from 1 star being the lowest, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and now we have 6 and 7 star in Dubai.
Wow.
You know, so the amenities that we give to the hotels, the amenities, the guest amenities, do determine what kind of star that you get. So 1 star would be basic necessity.
Okay.
You know, basic necessity. You walk into a guest room, you need to have a bath. You know, you need to have a place to shower or bath. You get my point. And there need to be a bed. There need to be a light. There need to be a door. You know what I'm talking about? Basic. You know, but the moment you start increasing certain amenities, okay, there's in a certain category, there's minimum things that are required. Let me give an example of a 3-star. A 3-star hotel or lodge should have, let's say in the guest room,
right?
You expect that the guest room should have crisp linen, you know, at least white sheets.
Yes.
Should have a telephone on the bedside for the guests, be able to make an extension to be able to make a call to the reception or something like that. There needs to be satellite TV. There needs to be a hot shower. There need to be an aircon. There need to be Wi-Fi. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's those are just a few. I mean, it needs to have maybe a swimming pool and all that kind of stuff. So as you go up to 4-star, there's certain things you expect. Maybe you add in a gym now, and then there's a number of, maybe you need to have an executive rooms and everything like that. You go to probably 5-star. There has to be a certain number of presidential. You need to have a presidential suite, for instance. And you need to have a spa. You need to have a gym. You need to have, maybe you need to have butler service or something like that. So as you go in through these different grades, there's certain guest expectations that you must have.
Right.
Of course, I don't expect that a developer or an investor would go and put out the 5-star in a rural area.
Yes.
That would be a misplaced property. Okay. So, but in places like Lusaka, Livingston, Kitwe, Dola,
it's absolutely necessary.
It's absolutely necessary. I mean, we have a stadium in Dola.
Right.
So, like, I just gave Africa Cup CAF as an example.
Yes.
We have a stadium
and
there.
Obviously we host a lot of countries coming to play games.
Exactly.
In
You get my point.
Yes.
And also, when we talk about tourism, this I'm talking about is like football tourism. So very interlinked, close relationships that tourism, that Zambia Tourism Agency that is mandated, ZTA for short, that is mandated with marketing Zambia as a destination, that can work with FARS, for instance. Okay, to say, FARS, please, are you not able to bid for Zambia to host Africa Cup in this year?
Yes.
Okay, so FARS would say, okay, we need to have maybe 6 stadiums of international standards. Okay, we need in this location, this location, this location, and our requirements that is that we should have a 5-star hotel here, then, and then maybe ZTA together with Zambia Development Agency and say, okay, so what do we do to have a hotel there, and then they contact developers and everything like that. So that is just one place in terms of football tourism. There's other spaces of tourism like medical tourism and stuff like that. So the other different spheres that as an industry we can partner with other partners and stakeholders to enhance hospitality and tourism in Zambia. Because you see, it is the same guest. Remember when in my preamble I spoke about different spaces in the industry.
Within the industry,
yes. I spoke about aviation, for instance. These guests need to fly in the country. So that's where aviation comes from. So the staff, the pilots, the hostesses that fly these guests in to the staff at the airport that work in these airlines, that welcome them, including that. And that is why even immigration officers at immigration and stuff like that, they need to be, if they are not already, undergo customer service training.
Right.
You get my point?
Yes.
Staff at the airport corporation and Zambia airports and everything, to transfers. You know, the tour companies or the transfer companies that transfer these guests in the shuttles from the airports to the hotels. That's also hospitality.
Absolutely.
You get my point?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to get the space to the hotels where they check in and everything and stuff like that, to entertainment, you know, to shopping and all that kind of stuff. So everything speaks.
It's interlinked. Yeah.
It's interlinked.
Yeah.
It's interlinked. And I know that the part of the goals for Zambia Tourism Agency is increasing the number of arrivals from one year to another in the country.
Yes.
And these arrivals will just increase if these social amenities are increasing year in, year out. And we are developing what guest expectations are in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for highlighting that, ONeil. I'm going to take you a little bit back. We did speak about some of the challenges that we're having in the industry. And obviously, you did highlight the aspect of training. With the number of years that you have within the space, the industry, you definitely have a lot to give back. What are you doing in your own individual capacity to bridge this gap, specifically in training?
Francis, that question, it's always, every time I move around in the country, I visit spaces that ungraded places, hospitality establishments, to event places, to restaurants and everything. And I see the need for the industry to be regulated every time. Okay. I see the need for the industry to be regulated because, look, there's a lot of, like I said, the space is growing. There's a lot of local investors that have gone into building guest houses and lodges and B&Bs and stuff like that.
Yes.
Airbnbs, and then there's standalone restaurants and everything. And sometimes the service leaves much to be desired. You know, I attended a wedding at some space, at an event space, names withheld, where I sat as a guest, and just the level of service from the waiters, how they were piling plates, and at some point some plates dropped and everything, and I sat with colleagues who knew I was in the industry, and looked at me and said, "Are you seeing what's happening?" I mean, I felt sad.
Yeah.
You know, I felt sad to say, with all the years that I have in the industry, what have we done to improve this? What have we contributed to see this? I mean, you can't not just walk into someone's property and say, "Look, hey, this and that." I mean, you must either be a regulator, okay, to be able to do that.
Yes.
Or you have to be somebody that is offering training and say, "Look, I offer training and here and stuff like that." Yeah. So with that, I decided as an individual to say, okay, let me be giving this information for free. Wow. Okay. For free. I have a page on Facebook.
Okay.
The page name is O'Neil Mweemba Hospitality.
Nice.
Where I do talk about hospitality. I do talk about certain trends and what you need to do in hospitality, how you do this and everything. And I have a following. My following right now is around about 15,000.
Impressive.
And this page is about a year old. So, and I'm happy it's grown to natural growth to this number of people. And I share this information for the love of the industry.
Right.
And the other space that I use is my LinkedIn page. My LinkedIn page is O'Neil Mweemba. So from there, I talk about the industry. I talk about these things. And it's from these as an individual, because you asked me a question to say, what have I done as an individual?
Yes.
It is from these individual contributions that I do, both on personal level and organizational level for the organizations that I have worked for in the past, that I have actually been nominated nominated for awards, Zambia Tourism Excellence Awards.
Nice. You actually recently won an award.
Yes,
tell us a bit about that award and
so,
what the inspiration was around it.
So the Zambia Tourism Agency introduced what they call Tourism Excellence Awards.
Okay.
Or T for short. Yeah, so this is the second one. So the inaugural one was last year.
Okay.
Where I was nominated as well under the category of Tourism Personality of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah. And second time in a row this year as well, I was nominated, and I won first runners up. Which is basically if you like gold and silver, I won silver.
Yes.
In the award.
Nice.
So we were three in the finalists. The one that won gold, Son Wheeler, who's who's general manager for the Radisson Blue Hotel in Livingston.
Okay.
Who I once worked with as my boss in Radisson's
company. Nice.
Yeah. And then I won first runners up, and then second runners up was the renowned Caristo Stampia. That's a household name.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great and recognized. I mean, having to be on that list with the legendary Caristo Stampia, I would call him.
Right.
Yeah. Much respect to the man. I mean, if I remember a time at school, my one of my friends was teasing me and says, "How can you be better than Caristo? I mean, we used to watch Caristo in school."
Yeah.
And I said, "Look, I don't really call myself better, but I think it's the recognition that people out there are giving me and everything and what I'm doing in the industry, and that's gave me that award." So what I'm trying to say is that both ZTA, Zambia Tourism Agency, the industry itself, the industry players, owners, individual players, I recognize in what I'm doing in the space. I mean, you can't just find yourself there by mistake.
No, definitely not.
Yes, this just doesn't come. It's you have to do something for you to find. And I know that next year I'm winning gold.
I love that. I love the confidence. I love that confidence. No, I mean, you're definitely on the right space. You are pretty much giving back everything that you've learned, everything that you've acquired over the years. It's something that you're deliberately instilling in the upcoming generation. So I mean, I've got no doubt the goal is coming your way.
Yeah, I don't want to keep this knowledge to maybe the company that I work for.
Yes.
But there's somebody out there who needs the information.
Absolutely.
So I would freely give it. Like, if you go to my page right now, O'Neil Mweemba Hospitality on Facebook, and see the content that I post, I always talk about hospitality, how you can do this, how you can do that, how you can make it better and everything. And you'll be amazed, Francis, that the young people that have reached out in my inbox and told me, "Sir, can you talk to my parents?" I said, "What about what?"
Yes.
I mean, about them understanding that this industry is a profession like any other.
Yes.
Because I want to do this, and they're telling me, "No, don't do this, do electrical engineering."
Yes.
But that's where my passion is. I love what I see in the hotels and everything.
Right.
I mean, I get honored. I mean, to having to talk about hospitality in that space. I mean, I spoke to that family and everything, and I'm glad. If that young man is listening to me now, he knows who I'm talking about.
Yes.
I think he will be completing next year, and he's doing hospitality.
Nice.
And so this is the contribution that I'm doing.
Amazing.
In the space.
Amazing. Well, then we're briefly just going to talk about, guest interactions that you've had, guest experiences that you've had, because there's a very, very interesting notion around the country. I think it's in I don't know about the other countries, but within our country, you did yourself talk about some of the standards and how when you attend certain functions or go to certain facilities, the standards are not just up to par. So there are a lot of complaints that come from, guest experiences. So my question is actually centered around what your secret has been in creating a memorable guest experience. You also did actually talk about the fact that over the years, it's they're actually countable scenarios that you've had where a guest has walked up to you and they're literally complaining about. What has been your secret?
I think my secret in that space is that giving your all when you're attending to a guest. Francis, when you are, and if you're in the industry and you're listening to me right now, when you are in that space, let's say you're working in the restaurant, either in the hotel restaurant or standalone restaurant, the guest that walks through your door, know that they have decided, it is a choice that they have made to come to your establishment.
Right.
It's not by mistake. Okay? They have passed these other restaurants or these other hotels and they walk through your doors. They have made a choice to come to you. Number one. Number two, they have the finances to spend in your establishment. And that's why they have come to you. I mean, it's not like they're lost, they don't know it's a hotel, they don't know it's a restaurant.
And it's not a free service that you're offering them.
They know. So, and number three, they are looking for an experience. They're not just hungry.
Right.
And they're trying to feed their appetite.
I like that. Experience being the key word.
They are looking for an experience. If they just wanted to eat for the sake of hunger, they'd have eaten at home.
Yes.
Or anywhere else. But if they're going to walk into in the hotel or the restaurant where you're charging an arm and a leg, they're looking for an experience.
Right.
So if you get these three things right, know that they've made a choice to come to you, know that they've managed to spend, number three, they are looking for an experience, you will know how to handle them. So from the welcome, it must be warm welcome.
Yes.
Make them feel they've made the right choice.
Yes.
Okay, just from the welcome, good morning, good afternoon, how are you? If you know them.
Basic etiquette.
Yes. Sit them down. How was your day? How's your morning? Let them feel warm.
That is a very huge gap I've seen on ONeil, to be honest. I see that on TV, but I never see it happening in real life. Why is that happening? I can never go to... Yes, the most I can get is a greeting. How are you, sir?
And this is quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, Francis, and you're telling me you've never experienced it.
I've never.
And this is sad. And it makes me feel sad. Me sitting here as a hotelier and listening to you to say you've never experienced it is sad. And I understand. And this is why I'm saying to all those that are in the industry out there, we need to change our behavior. We need to take care of our guests. They're looking for experience. And that is why a soft drink that would cost 10 kwacha in a store costs 30 kwacha or 50 kwacha.
Now I get it.
You get my point? Because
I've never gotten it.
Because it's an experience we are selling.
Right.
I mean, if you didn't want an experience, you would walk into a supermarket and buy that
and
Coke.
get it for 10 kwacha.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But why are you willing to pay 30, 50 kwacha for the same Coke that you can buy 10 kwacha? You are looking for an experience. And the sooner we realize as industry experts that this is what we need to give away, everybody of us, everywhere, every corner of this country will give top-notch service, because that's the experience.
Amazing.
I mean, you will walk out feeling satisfied. You will walk out and say, hey, I mean, even the tip will come natural.
Yes.
You get my point? You will not need, to solicit for tips, and soliciting is bad. I don't like it. You know, where you go to a place and the way they're soliciting for a tip, even when they've given poor service, In some other countries, tips are only given when, here in Zambia we have service charge in some hotels, and then we have tips in some establishment, but in some countries it's just tips.
Yes.
And you only give a tip when you're satisfied. You know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
So it's an experience that we're selling, and my appeal to everyone is that we need to give our guests memorable experiences. We need to create moments. We are moment makers.
Lovely.
We are moment makers. There's a place in the US called the Disney. where it's an entertainment or theme park.
Yes.
And the staff members are called the crew. It's show time. Every time they are on duty, it's show time.
Yes.
It's like it's a show.
Wow.
You have to create memorable experience.
They're literally on their toes.
Yes, literally toes. Just make sure that by the time you walk out of that theme park, you're like,
it's a memorable and unforgettable experience. Right.
And these moments are made by people like myself, people like you who's listening out there.
Yes.
Yeah. And allow me to extend this even to just other customer service establishments that are not literally hospitality or tourism industry. I mean, a number of times I've gone to customer care offices or agents in different parastatals and everything.
Yes.
And you walk to the desk, and this person is busy on the phone. So they say good morning. They're not looking at you. So no eye contact. Okay. So they just know that there's somebody that's come. Good morning. Yes, can I help you? No eye contact. You're expecting them to lift up their head and talk to you. They are not.
Wow.
Yeah. And then what do you do? Okay. See the next one.
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it as well.
They have not looked at you. And you're like,
yeah. I'm not coming here to do you a favor or...
Exactly.
You're doing your job.
That is the problem we're having, Francis. That our staff act like they're doing the guest a favor. You who's spending the money, you've walked into the restaurant, not a hotel, and you want to spend your money, and the staff is acting like you're actually disturbing them.
Right.
Or you are doing them a favor, or they're doing you a favor. That is wrong. That is wrong. Let me give you a perfect example. Right. When you go to Santon,
yes,
Mandela Square,
yes,
there's a number of restaurants there. And each one of these restaurants is looking for revenue.
Yes.
They're just literally next door to each other. And they know that you have a choice. And every time you've walked into the restaurant, you have left the restaurant next door. Just how they greet you at the door, how they sit you down, how the service. And I was like, I wish we can do like this in our own country. Because of the competition that is there.
Yes.
They know how to take it. Because they know that if you're not happy, you're just going to go to the next one.
Go to the next one.
And now it takes me back to what I spoke about, having more hotels, more, you know what I'm trying to say. So that people know that
they're actually standards.
We are in a space where we're competing. And so for the guests to walk into my hotel, the guests to walk into my restaurant, okay, they have made a choice. And because of the experience that I'm giving, that is why they are there.
Absolutely.
So we need to change, and these are the areas sometimes that I spend time to train, train people, train in these areas just to make sure that we are better off industry. And I'm waiting for that day when government will, do a gazette, from through Parliament where institutions like IOH, which stands for Institute of Hospitality, Zambia, HCAS, Hotel Catering Association of Zambia, and ZTO, of course, can go all out there, regulate the industry more, more where certain standards are expected to be able to operate.
Absolutely.
You don't meet these standards, you can't operate. You can't operate and everything. Yeah, so we need to get to that level.
Nice.
And improve our industry.
So quickly moving on, ONeil. Obviously, you've had an illustrious career. What has been the most rewarding aspect of your career?
Most rewarding aspect? Of course, it is... I've had a number of rewarding moments or aspects in my career. One thing is, I will sum it up this way. One thing is that I have been in one position. Okay, I transitioned from one position to another within the space of 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So that aspect of my career has been rewarding. I find it very rewarding where I hold one position, minimum 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Two to 3 years. And then maximum 5 to 6 years.
Okay.
And then I change.
And what are you looking for when you make these transitions?
Growth.
Okay.
Yeah, growth as a person. Growth in the industry. Of course, I'm at a stage in life now where I've gotten to general manager level.
Yes.
This space, then it's slow because you've reached the top.
Yes.
You've reached the top. From general manager, you can either maybe just be a group general manager or a regional general manager.
Yes.
Or director. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, you're the owner. You get my point? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've reached the top.
Okay.
This is actually quite rewarding for me.
Amazing.
That I've gone through all the stages of hospitality, from line staff to supervisor to line manager to middle manager.
And got into the apex.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've gone through these stages. And to the young person out there is no shortcut to success. Please don't take the elevator. Take the stairs.
Right. I love that.
Yeah, take the stairs.
I love that.
Because you see, the danger of taking the elevator is that button you press to open the elevator, get into the elevator and takes you to the top floor. Yeah.
I love that you speak into that because my next question actually was going to ask you what kind of career advice you'd have for somebody who's just starting out in this space.
Yes. So my advice is that go through the process. I spoke about tertiary education. Okay? Get into the space, start working, give it your all. Even scripture supports it. Whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might.
Right.
It's there. It's supported by the Bible. Okay? Do your best. Hospitality, I love to call it hospitality as a lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's more than a job. It's a lifestyle. Because in hospitality, we work long hours. We work crazy hours. Sometimes we're the earliest people to wake up and we're the last people to go to bed. And stuff like that.
Right.
So you leave home, your kids are sleeping. You get home, your kids are sleeping. So when, like a period like this one, festive season, we work the most. And everybody else is relaxing and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to have the passion to do this. Because otherwise, if you can't, you don't have the passion, you won't do it. Because you'll be like, hell no.
Right.
Why should I be working when I must be partying?
Yes.
When my mates are partying, you get my point.
Yes.
So it's a lifestyle. So to you young people that are seeking a career in hospitality, first be aware that it's a lifestyle. There's a lot of sacrifice that we put in. There's a lot of passion that you get in there. Please take the stairs. Don't take the elevator. Because when you take the elevator, you will not go through the pain. Okay?
And you won't learn.
Yeah, you won't learn. When you take this through the stairs, because it's tiring to go step by step, so you feel the pain on the legs as you go up. So those pain shape you. They prepare you for the future. They prepare you for hard times. They prepare when the going gets tough. But when you take the elevator, you miss this aspect.
Right.
And at the first point where it gets tough, you will give up. You will quit.
Absolutely.
Because you never went through. Or somebody, you will still be in the elevator, you haven't gotten out, somebody will press the button down and you come down.
Yes.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
I do.
Yeah. So please take the stairs. Learn the art of doing this. I've been there myself. I've told you, I've gone through all these stages and I have learned and I know what to do, where and when and how to do it. Nobody stops learning, so I still learn. Even at this stage here where I am, there are still new trains that coming in the industry that I'm still learning.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. So, O'Neil, as we're winding up our conversation, I'd like to find out from you what kind of legacy you hope to leave for the hospitality industry.
I want a legacy where people will remember me for somebody who was passionate about hospitality, someone that lived hospitality, ate, drank, slept, hospitality. Somebody who was so passionate about the industry that they will do everything to ensure that guests have memorable experiences, have an experience. Somebody who gave out knowledge to upcoming hospitality of professionals, and trained and developed young ones. I mean, there are a number of people that have developed, Francis.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That literally develop you from a starter to F&B manager now.
Oh wow.
Food and beverage manager or front office manager or executive housekeeper. Yes. A number of them. And even when if they listen to this, they will know, they'll say, yes, I'm here. A number of them. And it makes me feel proud because a lot of my trainees and students that have grown up. I mean, I'm not a person that is shy to give away information. A number of people out there do not want to develop others. They do not want to give the information because they're insecure. They think if I give them this person will take the job away from me.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, if you leave the position and then your assistant or people are not able to do the job, then it means you're failed as a leader.
Right. Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
If you're in a position, let's say 3 years, you must be able to develop your assistant in that 3 years or 5 years that when you move out, they're able to take over from you.
Yeah.
If they're not able to take over,
that's a definition of leadership.
Yes.
Really.
If they're not able to take over from you, then you failed as a leader. You couldn't develop it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, So we want to make sure that we can develop people that way and just make sure that everybody we build up everybody and make this industry tick.
Great.
For what it's supposed to be.
Great.
Yeah.
O'Neil, thank you so much for opening up to just speaking into hospitality as it is. I honestly didn't know half of the things that you've highlighted, and you've been schooling me right now. So it's been a privilege to really have this conversation with you. Ladies and gentlemen, another exciting episode of the Talent Plug podcast. Today we have had O'Neil Mweemba, a seasoned hotelier. He's a trainer as well as a hospitality manager. He has a Facebook page, O'Neil Mweemba Hospitality. Kindly just follow the page and just ensure that whatever questions that you have around this specific industry, I'm sure he's more than willing to address some of those questions. And for those who haven't liked, subscribed, and followed our channel, please do. You are really helping us in just bringing more seasoned guests like O'Neil to just speak into the different aspects of different professions that people have. But this has been a great and exciting episode. Stay tuned.